Much has been said over the course of 2024 as to whether or not it has actually been a good year for cinema. For many, the answer is the same as ever. Any year can be a good year at the movies if you're looking hard enough. Sure, this particular calendar year hasn't brought forth the sheer number of unabashed masterpieces as 2023, but the steady quality of the films that compose High on Film's top 30 of the year is emblematic of the eclectic tastes that make moviegoing so riveting and unpredictable every year. Now let's get started to count down the 30 best films of 2024.
It's gonna be dropped out of the plane. Or are you the actual plane?
I guess I am the plane.
Okay, Dave, you ready? Everybody pick a pose and freeze!
Number 30, Daughters. Though its title is Daughters, Natalie Ray's and Angela Patton's documentary would make a beautiful sister piece for Greg Quedar's Sing Sing, as dual films that explore unorthodox means of coping and rehabilitation in America's horribly dehumanizing prison system. Centered around a cathartic father-daughter dance meant to provide some semblance of unison between the men locked away and the young girls they don't get to see growing up. Ray and Patton don't treat the father-daughter dance like the end-all be-all of rehabilitation, but their film never fails to make the case that a hug on the dance floor can move mountains when all other contact is mediated by a sheet of glass.
I'm gonna see you later. If you say bye, that means you're never seeing them again. So
Right. Promise you I will not say bye. See you later, okay?
Okay.
Don't say bye.
Number 29, A Complete Unknown. There was understandably a lot of hesitation revolving around a biopic of Bob Dylan. Thankfully, James Mangold crafts a compelling portrayal of an artist who was often at odds with himself. Timothy Chalamet turns Dylan into a flawed yet ambitious young rebel, attempting to make a name for himself. And the film gives him more than enough space to beautifully recreate some of the most iconic songs ever written. The film hinges on the brilliance of Chalamet's performance, but it also features some key supporting roles for other legendary musicians. A Complete Unknown only tells one chapter of Dylan's story, but this focused approach is preferable to a more wide-ranging biopic that wouldn't have been able to capture the same emotional specificity. Number 28, Baby Girl. Baby Girl is far more grounded in its titillating thrills, as Helena Rhine unearths the frustrations of meeting a form of fantasy that can never quite be achieved with the one you love, without some form of personal debasement. Anchored by Nicole Kidman's fearless performance, Baby Girl luxuriates in the complexity of its central dynamics. With this film, Rhine continues to explore the boundaries of sexual satisfaction in ways that few other filmmakers dare to do.
Power-hungry personalities?
You think that's what I am?
No. No. I think the opposite.
You think I don't like power?
I think you like to be told what to do.
Number 27, I'm Still Here. Some believe that the great Walter Salles would never make a masterpiece on the level of Central Station or The Motorcycle Diaries ever again, but I'm Still Here solidifies his status as one of the most important directors in Brazilian history. Salles creates a compelling portrayal of the Paiva family amidst the far-right military dictatorship of the 1970s and explores the aftermath of the disappearance of its patriarch. The film examines the duality of being a citizen and a family member and shows why finding truth is still vital, even if justice is more challenging to attain. At the center of this magnanimous drama is Fernanda Torres' towering performance, which may be one of the year's most vulnerable roles.
3, 2, 1.
Não precisa sorrir.
Por que não?
O editor pediu.
Pediu o quê?
Uma foto menos feliz.
Nós vamos sorrir. Sorriam.
Number 26, On Becoming a Guinea Fowl. On Becoming a Guinea Fowl is certainly not the first film that reckons with the patriarchal worship of abusive figures, but Rungano Nyoni's distinct sense of place makes for a heightened sense of ingrained tragedy within its Zambian setting. In a space so deeply invested in customs of near-evangelical worship to the head of the household, particularly at the expense of the women meant to do the worshiping, Nyoni finds her greatest sense of horror in just how casually this whole situation is approached.
I saw the video.
Don't worry about it. He's dead now, so it's okay.
Number 25, Dhomi. When Madi Diop won the Golden Bear at this year's Berlin Film Festival for a documentary that just barely exceeded 1 hour in length, some cynics took it as a sign that the Berlinale is the worst of the European A-film festivals. But those who actually saw Dhomi could attest to its haunting timeliness and spectral atmosphere. Wasting not a single one of its 68 minutes, Dhomi examines the seemingly endless road to decolonization, here examined through the repatriation of Dahomean artifacts from French museums back to what is now modern-day Benin. Dhomi may be short, but entire generations of suppression are felt within the confines of its brisk runtime. Number 24. Hitman. Hitman proves to be far more than just a star vehicle for Glenn Powell, who showed hints of his star power in Linklater's underrated baseball comedy, Everybody Wants Some. Hitman feels like the announcement of a generational talent.
I like suicide. That seems clean.
Doesn't it? That's the dream.
Powell is so relentlessly charismatic that it's impossible to look away from him, even when the film doubles down on exposing the deceitful nature of his character. Number 23. Civil War. Alex Garland has been the master of crafting speculative science fiction stories, but Civil War gives him the chance to examine a not-so-shocking future in which America is split into warring factions. The specifics of how this conflict emerged are superfluous, while there are allusions to xenophobic and authoritarian views that paved the way for these divisions.
I'm just saying, just what? Well, you're American, okay? Okay. What kind of American are you?
Civil War is more interested in showing the perspective of the journalists who reckon with the responsibility of preceding an objective view of the conflict, with moments of sickening violence that are nauseating in their mundanity. Number 22. The Apprentice. The notion of a biopic about Donald Trump seemed ridiculous, but The Apprentice offers a compelling origin story of how an unwitting yet ambitious child of privilege used a defiance of authority to build one of the most influential business empires in American history. Sebastian Stan doesn't attempt to do an impression of Trump, but manages to show how he slowly developed his signature idiosyncrasies. Equally effective is Jeremy Strong's breathtakingly accurate depiction of Roy Cohn, the powerful lawyer who shaped Trump into an attack dog, only to be left out to dry. The Apprentice is as much about the environment that raised Trump as it is about the man itself.
No matter how fucked you are, you never, ever, ever admit defeat. You always claim victory.
Number 21. Twilight of the Warriors Walled In. It's rare enough for an honest-to-God, bone-breaking bloodfest out of Hong Kong to find itself among the rankings of quote-unquote serious, dramatic fare. But Soi Chiang's Twilight of the Warriors Walled In takes its unapologetically ballistic attitude to bring us some of the most visceral fight scenes since the days when the West first began speaking the language of flying fists. Matching its Midnight Madness-style verve with a tale of forged brotherhood that makes any such effort worth more than a passing glance, the film never allows you to forget just what it takes to keep your eyes glued to the screen. Number 20. The Girl with the Needle. Channeling the stark, monochrome visuals of Ingmar Bergman's most iconic work, Magnus von Horn explores the depths of post-war social integration with almost as much substantive horror as the Swedish master. Held together by two performances equally terrified and terrifying, The Girl with the Needle exposes the horrors of guilt and misplaced responsibility that eat away at our souls. With his film, Von Horn reaches into your soul and pulls out something you never knew was there, particularly because you may never have wanted to know such depths could be reached at all.
Verden er et frygteligt sted. Men vi bliver nødt til at tro på, det ikke er sådan.
Number 19. Juror Number 2. Juror Number 2 assembles just about everything you need for a solid 90s thriller, an enthusiastic cast, a steadfast screenplay, and a director who knows how to make it all gel together and produces a well-oiled machine that delivers on its promise of consistent entertainment alongside a genuine desire to unpack moral ambiguity and the flaws of a long-standing justice system.
Why should I believe that? Why should I believe anything that you're saying anymore?
I swear to you.
You swear to me.
I swear.
Don't lie to me.
I am not lying, I promise. I promise. That is the truth.
Number 18, Sing Sing, based on the true story of the theater program in the Sing Sing Correctional Facility. The film stars many of the actual former inmates that graduated from the project. This grants the film a greater sense of intimacy than it would have ever attained otherwise. The only established actor who plays a key role is the great Coleman Domingo, who gives the single best performance of his career as an incarcerated man who finds himself frustrated by the unchanging status quo of life behind bars. Sing Sing is at times quite scathing in how it shows the broken nature of America's justice system.
Why? Why, Brent? Like it's gonna fucking matter? Like we're gonna get any fucking better? Like he's gonna remember any fucking line he has? You tell us to trust the fucking process, right? Well, the process is fucked.
Number 17, Hard Truths. Mike Leigh has never been a filmmaker who is interested in appeasing his audience, as he has often been drawn to complex characters who are unambiguously flawed. Leigh hasn't created many characters that are as uncompromising, difficult as Patsy.
Look at you! Fix your face! You're dealing with the public, handling people's food.
Stop! Please.
Oh, and you can pipe down and all standing there like an ostrich.
A tired, endlessly frustrated mother, played by Marianne Jean-Baptiste, in what may be the single greatest performance of her career.
They want your phone number, your email. I asked one of them, I said, why do you want my postcode? I might as well just give you my front door key so you can bruck into my house, teeth out my things, and kill my only child.
As the title may suggest, Hard Truths addresses realities about familial relationships that are hard to swallow. But it also reaches such truthful moments of empathy that it is hard to ever discredit it as being cynical. Number 16, A Different Man. A Different Man is a delightfully dark comedy about the difference between perception and reality, and is poetic in the way it calls out the hypocritical truisms that are made about performance, acceptance, and self-care. But the narrative is so genuinely unpredictable that it never feels as if the film is wagging its finger at the audience. Sebastian Stan gives one of the most singular performances of his career as a charming narcissist who does not feel comfortable in his own skin. Although Stan's work is entirely absorbing, the film is completely stolen by the breakout star Adam Pearson, whose disarming charisma allows the narrative to reach even more complicated places.
All unhappiness in life comes from not accepting what is. You know who told me that?
You shrink.
No, I'm serious. You know who told me? Lady Gaga in life.
Number 15, Queer. With Queer, the director tackled perhaps the most alienating material of his career. The end result is, expectedly, one of Guadagnino's most difficult films to swallow, but also one of his most human. Through Daniel Craig's heart-wrenching performance, Guadagnino orchestrates a trip into the lonely abyss that is the love life of a man so tortured by his inability to connect and find greater purpose that all forms of touch seem transactional. Number 14, All We Imagine as Light. Few filmmakers have shown the aptitude to make a generational masterpiece quite like Payal Kapadia. Her latest, All We Imagine as Light, has fittingly become the critical darling of 2024. Kapadia finds her own voice in exploration of the unique sensory experience of living in modern Mumbai. With such a tender grasp of womanhood in a modern metropolis, All We Imagine as Light becomes a prism through which Kapadia can focus our understanding of the many intersecting cultural spheres that make up India's most populous city, all without ever veering from the eyes of the three women whose bond keeps the film rooted. Number 13, Ghostlight. One of the best films of the year is also one of the easiest to miss, as Ghostlight is a family drama about a grieving father recovering from the suicide of his son by taking part in a small-scale production of Romeo and Juliet. Ghostlight shows the unusual ways in which broken people find themselves incapable of reacclimating themselves back into normal society. The film isn't an entirely superficial celebration of the performing arts, but a life-affirming story about the difficult path of moving on and why it is a necessary one to lead. Keith Kupferer isn't an actor who has ever received significant attention for his previous work, but his soul-shaking work in Ghostlight should certainly raise his profile.
Let's change it, okay? I mean, we can do that, right? Since it's all made up, it's make-believe, we can do whatever we
We're
want.
not changing the ending to Romeo and Juliet.
Why not?
It's Shakespeare.
Who gives a fuck?
Number 12, No Other Land. If No Other Land isn't quite the single best film of 2024, it is unquestionably the most important. The film is particularly timely in depicting the horrors of displacement endured by the Palestinian population in a mountainous area of Gaza. The film becomes a microcosm for the unconscionable treatment of Palestinians by an apartheid regime to this day.
تعترتي ايش خطف؟ ايش خطف؟
Filmed from a period beginning 4 years before the escalated attacks on Palestine, the film is a necessary rallying cry by Palestinian activist Basil Adra and his Israeli supporters Yuval Abraham, Rachel Cizor, and Hamdan Bilal. Number 11, The Substance. The Substance has become a widespread sensation since its Cannes premiere, precisely because of how ostensibly displeasing it should be. One of the most on-the-nose commentaries on gender disparity in American media of late, Coralie Fargeet's strengths lie entirely in a style of filmmaking whose own obviousness complements that of her material.
Is everything okay? So smile!
The Substance combines art house sleekness with trashy forcefulness to experiment with just how far Fargeet can visualize her equally scintillating and disgusting thoughts. Number 10, Bird. Andrea Arnold remains one of the most reliable filmmakers working in the realm of kitchen sink realism. Bird is a different story though, as her latest film maintains some of the textured grit and grime, but there's a hint of magical realism sprinkled throughout. From its ethereal score to the demeanor of Franz Rogowski as its titular wanderer, Bird is certainly a film not entirely in line with works like Fish Tank and American Honey. Such a change is undoubtedly welcome for Arnold, whose style always lends itself to a subjective view of the listlessness of her subjects, played here with great verve by newcomer Nikia Adams.
What are you doing there?
Nothing.
What are you doing there? In
Nothing.
there with a boy, why yeah?
No, I wasn't.
Back over there. Back over there, man. What are you doing in there? You a boy, why yeah? You
No,
a
I
boy.
wasn't.
See, I know you were in there with a boy. I'm fucking killing you, do you hear me?
Number 9, The Brutalist. Brady Corbett's absorbing exploration of a Polish architect's quest to discover the American dream feels completely grandiose, yet entirely specific to a post-World War II generation that was still wrestling with the genocide that had been committed. Although the sweeping cinematography, terrific score, and epic running time would suggest that The Brutalist is all about maximalism, it morphs into a very internalized story of an artist reckoning with the pressures of capitalism, authoritarianism, and xenophobia. Adrian Brody delivers what may be the performance of his career and also serves as the natural progression of the performance in The Pianist that won him the Academy Award for Best Actor.
Thank you, really.
Number 8, A Real Pain. A Real Pain is truly a film that stands to take its viewers off guard with how complicated it actually is. Theoretically, a road trip film about two cousins has the makings to be a pleasant comedy drama.
Yeah, if you're not feeling good about it, let's not do it.
Sorry, I don't know that's lame, I guess.
No, it's okay. It's not lame. It's just.
But Jesse Eisenberg is able to weave in a riveting examination of mental health, generational trauma, and familial tension that comes alive whenever he gets to share the screen with Kieran Culkin. The film is so routinely pleasant that the more grave realizations land with a significant impact, as Eisenberg threads the needle between comedy and drama beautifully.
It just seems like maybe there's like a time and a place to grieve, and maybe it's not.
Yo, Dave, we're on a fucking Holocaust tour. If now is not the time and place to grieve, to open up, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Number 7, Oh Canada. Paul Schrader has been obsessed with deconstructing the psychology of troubled anti-heroes ever since his screenplays for Taxi Driver and Raging Bull were heralded as masterworks. But Oh Canada feels like the single most personal entry in his canon thus far. Schrader has been drawn to vigilante stories thanks to First Reformed, The Card Counter, and Master Gardener. But Oh Canada offers a more sensitive examination of a legendary artist looking back at their real legacy. It is surprising that Richard Gere and Jacob Elordi are able to work together to create a startlingly empathetic character caught between two transitional points in his life.
I made a career
Getting truth out of people. They told me what they wouldn't tell others. And now it's my turn.
Number 6. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. To say that George Miller has pretty much perfected the Mad Max formula by now would be like saying water is wet or sand is dry. Furiosa puts Miller's adeptness with the post-apocalyptic world he created to the ultimate test, shedding this new entry of the man who started it all in favor of the fresh face who stole the show in Fury Road, only to recast that face with an even fresher one. Anya Taylor-Joy, however, proves more than capable of distilling the fury that fuels Furiosa towards her vengeance. More narratively involved than Fury Road, Furiosa is thus arguably more engaging as a piece of myth-making in the modern era.
Fabulous thing. You crawled out of a pitiless grave deeper than hell. Only one thing's gonna do that for you. Not hope. Hate. No shame in hate. It's one of the great forces of nature.
Number 5. The Seed of the Sacred Fig. By all accounts, a miraculous production whose entire existence will always live in the shadow of the local fallout leading to its premiere, The Seed of the Sacred Fig is inextricably tied to the Iranian government's mistreatment of its citizens. Mohammad Rasulov's starkly urgent film carries with that urgency a juggling act of tonal shifts and mounting familial tension. Rasulov deftly explores what it means to want to do right by one's family, even if that means turning one's back against the oppressed.
من و هزاران نفر مثل من صبح تا شب داریم جون میکنیم که این مملکت رو نگه داریم برای کی؟ برای تو. بعد تو از یه سری اوباشی که تمام مسئلهشون لخ شدن تو خیابونه حمایت میکنی؟
کی میخواد لخ شه؟ من کی از لخ شدن
همینایی که کف خیابونن.
کیا بابا؟
Number 4. Anora. Sean Baker has a seemingly unparalleled ability to put a spotlight on struggling people at the bottom of the economic pyramid. If The Florida Project was Baker's fairy tale and Tangerine was his wild holiday comedy, then Anora is an epic love story.
Three carrots.
What about 4 or 5 or 6?
Mikey Madison gives a star-making performance as the titular sex worker who shows complete fearlessness in crafting an erratic and at times inscrutable character. It takes a truly special film to hit the emotional exhilaration that Anora does in its middle chapter, and then delivers such a devastating final act. The final scene is among the most affecting cinematic moments of the 21st century. Number 3. I Saw the TV Glow. While Jane Schoenbrun's first feature was certainly a standout debut by an artist with a lot of potential, I Saw the TV Glow is a perfectly calculated analysis of the intersection between media and identity. I Saw the TV Glow shows how emulating the images seen on the screen can assist young people in discovering their sexuality and escaping the perils of their reality.
What about you? Do you like girls?
I don't know.
Boys?
I think that I like TV shows.
The term Lynchian has become overused to the point that it now feels irrelevant, but I Saw the TV Glow crafts a similarly cosmic mix of surrealism, horror, and affinity for the suburban Gothic aesthetic that it's hard not to think about Mulholland Drive or Twin Peaks.
Harry, I have no idea where this will lead us, but I have a definite feeling it will be a place both wonderful and strange.
Number 2. Dune, Part 2. The second half of Denis Villeneuve's ambitious adaptation of Frank Herbert's heavily influential science fiction classic is every bit as epic as its predecessor, but even more cynical in its thematic approach. Herbert had always envisioned the rise of Paul Atreides to be a warning about granting power to a charismatic savior. And Dune Part 2 builds a Shakespearean epic on the back of this concept. While its aesthetics and scale are just as fantastical as one would expect from a Villeneuve project, Dune is also able to reach more emotional truths than its predecessor due to the fractured romance between Timothée Chalamet's Paul and the Fremen warrior Chani, Zendaya. Number 1. Challengers, taking a decidedly less somber view of horniness than its Craig-led counterpart. Challengers finds the most thrilling intersection between libidinal passion and a sport that would otherwise be more of a chore to endure than your average Ryan Reynolds film. Dripping with charisma and style in every facet of its making, from the casting to the camera work. Challengers stands as the best film of 2024, not because it's the most politically driven or the most austerely assembled. Rather, in the wake of so much pushback against artistic experimentation in the face of corporate consumption, a film whose irrefutable craft and engagement stands as a testament to what cinema, even in the mainstream, can achieve when placed in the most caring and horniest hands.